Ever wondered what happens when you completely disappear from someone's life? I'm not talking about just pulling back a little or playing games. I mean completely vanishing. No texts, no calls, no contact whatsoever. How would they really feel when you're gone? In a world where people often take others for granted, let's flip the script. Vanish, and watch how their world starts to fall apart. If you've ever been in a situation where someone took you for granted or treated you like an option, this is for you. We're diving into a powerful concept today. What happens when you just disappear from their life? We'll walk through 10 intense emotional stages they'll go through when you vanish. By the end of this video, you'll understand why sometimes the most powerful thing you can do is just walk away. If you're ready to reclaim your worth, if you're done being someone's second choice, drop a comment below saying, "I'm done being an option." By the end of this, you'll know exactly why you shouldn't ever be anyone's fallback again. Stay tuned until the very end. There's a bonus 10th stage you won't want to miss. Now, let's dive in. 1. The sting of rejection. This is where it all begins. They never thought you'd really leave. In their mind, you were always going to be there, putting in the effort, making plans, caring for them. You were their constant, until you weren't. When you vanish, it's like they've been hit with a brick they never saw coming. They thought you'd always stick around, that you'd always be the one who stuck it out. You never know what you have until it's gone. But it's not just your absence they feel. It's the loss of everything you represented, the comfort, the validation, the unwavering availability. It's a rejection that hits deep, making them realize that they no longer have control over you. People often start taking someone for granted when they know they'll always be there. You become their safety net, the backup plan. When you pull that safety net away, it's like they're falling, free falling with no way to catch themselves. They'll ask themselves, how did I let this happen? Why did I lose control? The sting of rejection is a wake-up call, a reminder that the person they thought they had control over has just walked away. The key here? Don't warn them, don't explain, just disappear. When you vanish with no explanation, it's loud and clear. You're done being treated like an option. 2. The void of missing you. Once the initial sting fades, something else starts to creep in. Emptiness. They didn't think they'd miss you, did they? They probably told themselves they wouldn't care if you left. But when you're truly gone, that void is impossible to ignore. They go through their day like usual, but something is missing. You were the missing piece. You added meaning to their life without them even realizing it. Now, without you, everything feels flat, dull, and lacking. Here's the irony. They didn't appreciate you when you were there. They thought you'd always be around, always available. But once you're gone, that assumption shatters. They'll miss the little things, the casual chats, the inside jokes, the way you made them feel understood. And the truth is, no one else will fill that void. They might try, but it will never be the same. The space you filled in their life is unique to you, and once you're gone, they'll feel it more and more. Make sure when you leave, they have no way to find you. Block them on social media, delete their number, and make sure they can't casually check on you. The harder it is for them to reach you, the more intense the void will feel. Every time they try to reach out and find nothing, that empty space will grow. Let them feel it. Let them miss you. 3. Overwhelming curiosity. By now, they're deep in the void, and a sense of desperation starts creeping in. Curiosity takes over, and it's nothing short of overwhelming. The big question on their mind is, where are you? What are you doing? Who are you with? You're now a mystery, and nothing is more unsettling than not knowing what's happening with someone who was once so close to them. In the age of social media, this curiosity amplifies. They'll check your Instagram, Facebook, TikTok, every platform to catch even the tiniest glimpse of your life. But here's the kicker. You're giving them nothing. You've gone dark. No posts, no updates, no stories, nothing. And it drives them absolutely crazy. Why? Because human beings hate the unknown. The moment you vanish, their minds start to race with questions. And this is where insecurity kicks in. They start wondering, have you moved on? Are you seeing someone else? Are you happier without me? They can't stand not knowing, so they become fixated on finding answers. This is when they might even reach out to your mutual friends, trying to gather any information about you, all the while being too proud to admit that they still care. It's almost tragic. Someone who once thought they didn't need you is now going to great lengths just to know what you're doing. The truth is, curiosity is a powerful emotion. When someone can't get the answers they want, their minds fill in the blanks. They begin to imagine you with someone else, living your best life, happier and more fulfilled without them. That thought gnaws at them, day after day. It turns from curiosity to obsession. And here's the best part. The less they know, the more they want to know. You become the one thing they can't stop thinking about. So, to fuel their curiosity, you need to disappear completely. Stay off the grid. Don't post anything that could give them a clue about your life. Let them wonder. Let them stew in their thoughts, trying to figure out what's happening with you. Every time they check their phone and find nothing, the frustration will grow. You now hold the power, and their curiosity is your most valuable asset. Don't give them answers. Give them silence. 4. Deep self-reflection. Now, we're entering dangerous territory for them. This is when self-reflection kicks in, and it's not pretty. After days, or even weeks, of wondering where you are and what you're doing, they start turning inward. The questions start. Was I too distant? Was I too cold? Did I push them away? The regret starts creeping in. It's bitter, hard to swallow. People don't like to admit their mistakes, but when you disappear, you force them to confront them head-on. Without you around to smooth things over or reassure them, they're left to face their own behavior, and it's a brutal experience. They start replaying every interaction, wondering what they could have done differently. They'll remember the times they ignored your texts, brushed off your feelings, or made you feel like an afterthought. And it hits them hard because deep down they know they had something good, but they took it for granted. Now they're left alone with their thoughts, and those thoughts are brutal. This is powerful because it's internal. They can't blame you anymore. You're not around to argue with or to make excuses for them. The only person they can blame is themselves, and that's a tough pill to swallow. Self-reflection only deepens over time. The more they reflect, the more they realize how much they messed up. The guilt starts to build. They'll wish they could go back and fix everything, but it's too late for that. During this stage, don't reach out. Don't try to explain yourself or make them see the error of their ways. Let them figure it out on their own. Self-reflection is most powerful when it happens internally. Let them sit with the guilt. It's a valuable lesson they need to learn. The power of silent detachment, when you stop chasing and start focusing on your own growth, it sends a strong message to those who took you for granted. You stop pleading for attention, you stop begging for affection, and most importantly, you stop showing them just how much you care. Instead, you detach yourself, not out of anger, but out of self-respect. This detachment doesn't mean you stop caring, but it means you've learned to prioritize yourself over anyone else. You understand that you are not obligated to convince anyone of your worth. And the moment you stop trying to fix the situation, you make space for something beautiful to happen, personal growth. It's not about ignoring their existence or playing games. It's about protecting your energy. When you detach, you begin to rediscover yourself, the things you've forgotten about when you were too busy trying to prove your love or your worth. In the silence, you regain your strength. You realize that you've been enough all along, without needing anyone's validation. And as time passes, they feel your absence. This is the power of silent detachment. You give them space to reflect on their actions and your worth. When they realize how much you've changed and how much they've lost, the regret starts eating them up. 6. Their regret and self-realization. Once you've detached, it's only a matter of time before they start to feel the weight of their own regret. The truth is, they never realized how important you were until they lost you. When you were in their life, they might have taken you for granted, thinking you'd always be there. But the moment you step away and stop waiting for them, something shifts. They start to see things in a new light. They realize they've lost someone who truly cared, someone who brought value and peace into their life. They feel the absence of your presence, the absence of your love, and the absence of your support. The things they took for granted are now painfully absent, and it's a feeling they can't shake. They begin questioning their decisions. They replay their mistakes in their minds, wondering where they went wrong. But by the time they start to regret their actions, you've already moved forward. Your absence becomes a lesson to them. The regret they feel is not just about losing you, it's about the realization that they didn't value you when they had the chance. 7. The fear of losing you forever. This is the critical moment. Their fear escalates, and they begin to see just how serious the situation is. They've lost you, and the possibility of getting you back is slipping away with every passing day. The fear of losing you forever consumes them. They may not admit it, but the thought of you being happy without them, of you finding someone else who treats you better, haunts them. They start to imagine you moving on, creating new memories, laughing, and loving someone else. And this thought, this fear, is more than they can bear. So they might try to regain your attention in any way possible, sending you long messages, showing up unannounced, begging for another chance. But here's the truth. They should have realized your worth when they had the chance. You're no longer the person who waits around for them to decide what they want. When they reach out, it's not because they're genuinely remorseful. It's because they're scared. They fear that they will lose you forever, and that fear drives them to do things they never would have considered before. But don't let their fear pull you back into a cycle of emotional dependency. They need to face the consequences of their actions. You've already moved on, and your emotional independence is more important than anything else. 8. The shift in your self-worth. As you move forward and create distance from the past, something powerful happens. You begin to see your own worth more clearly. You realize that you were always enough, that your happiness and sense of self were never tied to someone else's approval. In the past, you might have measured your value by how much someone else appreciated or loved you. But now, you've learned that true self-worth comes from within. You no longer need anyone to validate your existence or your feelings. You have become your own source of love and strength. This shift in your self-worth is not about arrogance or pride. It's about recognizing that you are worthy of love, respect, and all the good things life has to offer, without needing someone else to provide that for you. You've come to understand that your value doesn't depend on being chosen or needed by someone else. Your worth is inherent, and that realization is liberating. 9. The fear that brings them crawling back. By the time they realize your worth, you've already moved on. You've grown stronger, wiser, and more confident. You no longer wait for their attention, their approval, or their affection. When they finally come crawling back, it's not because they love you, it's because they fear losing you forever. But don't fall for it. Their fear is real, but it's too late. You've already found your peace, your independence, and your strength. You are no longer an option for them to take for granted. And when they come back, don't be tempted to give them another chance. Let them face the consequences of their actions. You've moved on, and that's your biggest win. 10. The realization of emotional independence. The realization of emotional independence is a transformative moment in your life. It's when you finally understand that your happiness, your worth, and your peace do not depend on anyone else. This is not something that comes easily, but once you experience it, it changes everything. For so long, you may have been attached to the idea that someone else's approval or affection would complete you, that their love would be the missing piece that made everything right. You might have found yourself chasing validation, trying to meet the expectations of others and always hoping for their love and attention. But the truth is, no one else can truly complete you. You are already whole on your own. Emotional independence is about realizing that your value is intrinsic, not tied to someone else's opinion of you. It's about understanding that your worth isn't defined by whether someone loves you, appreciates you, or validates you. When you truly grasp this concept, you start to feel liberated. You no longer feel the need to constantly seek approval or reassurance from others. You no longer measure your worth by someone else's standards. Your confidence and happiness become your own responsibility, and you realize that you can be happy and fulfilled on your own terms. This realization often comes after a period of emotional struggle or disappointment, like when you've been in a relationship that drains you, or when you've given so much of yourself without receiving the same in return. You may have become so focused on pleasing others or seeking their love that you forgot about your own needs. But once you regain your emotional independence, you stop caring about what others think. You no longer need their validation to feel good about yourself. You know your own worth, and that's enough. When you gain emotional independence, you also stop letting other people's actions dictate your emotional state. You stop letting their behavior affect your mood or happiness. You begin to take control of your own emotions, which gives you an immense sense of power and freedom. You understand that you don't need to be in a relationship, receive constant praise, or be surrounded by others to feel complete. You are enough by yourself. This shift in mindset is not about rejecting love or relationships. Rather, it's about recognizing that true emotional independence is the foundation of any healthy relationship. You no longer need someone to complete you because you are already complete. You choose to be with others because you genuinely want to share your life, not because you need them to fill a void. In the end, the realization of emotional independence is the most empowering feeling you can experience. You are no longer dependent on anyone's approval, and that is the key to lasting happiness. You are free, strong, and confident, and that freedom is something no one can take away from you.